Well, hello, welcome to not Weeknotes, not Quarternotes, but our very first Yearnotes. And I sort of wanted this to be kind of a more fancy video celebrating the whole year of making videos, because that's been awesome. But this being the first Yearnotes, and I realised I probably should have started thinking about this maybe a little bit earlier to be more prepared. So this is just going to be a straight to camera quick recap of basically the year. And for the people who haven't seen Quarternotes before, I follow a slightly tweaked version of, let me just go get it, of the 12-week year structure, where instead of going, this is the year where I want to do such and such, you break things down into 12-week chunks, which allows you to review those 12 weeks or review what you're doing more often. And I do that in the 13th week. Then based on if things are working, if they're not, you spend the first couple of days of the next 12-week block planning out what you're going to do there. It sort of allows you enough time to sort of dig into all the things you're doing, but a good periodic break to come up from air to be able to reflect on what you're doing and making sure you're not getting caught in the weeds. It gives you a chance to change where you're going. Anyway, in theory, this should just be another one of these quarters, and year notes shouldn't really be a thing because we're not thinking in years, but I still wanted to take this time to quickly look back at the year, the one that's just gone. I mean, obviously, and I'll come back to this whole idea of week notes and these videos that I make and how they helped me at the end of the video. So, kicking off, there are 2 rules for retrospectives like this. 1, looking backwards only. The planning session happens at the beginning of next week, and we're probably going to break this rule. 2, the second rule is positive vibes only, not negative, and this comes from running post-mortems in software development. When something's gone wrong, you then have a meeting about it where no blame is assigned, you just analyse what actually happened. Because if you start blaming things, if somebody thinks that they're going to get punished or fired because of something they did and that thing caused the problem, they might keep quiet about it or not give you all the details. But if you say there's no blame, then they can say it quite happily, knowing that you can then put things in place to prevent it happening again. So that's what that's about. So no blame, no excuses, but we're probably also going to break this rule in just a moment. So looking back over the old week notes, quarter notes, and then my own journals that I've been doing in Kitty here, I can see that this year, from about the second quarter onwards, it was a bit of a shit show, involving lots of family health and visiting hospitals and that type of stuff going on, which is still going on. Lots of uncertainty, which we'll come back to in a minute, all of which meant that a number of things didn't happen that I'd planned. So the pen plotting tutorials kept getting bumped, and one of the reasons for that is I wanted to be able to do them consistently, like wanted to do all of this without sort of breaks in the middle, and the uncertainty of what was going on meant that wasn't possible. And looking back now, I think that was probably wrong. I think everybody would have been fine with me starting it and then stopping it because I need to do then starting it again, but it was hard to see that at the time. I also didn't get around to setting up the Art Blocks engine stuff for releasing 80s Pop Roxy or Pop 95 or Pop 2K. In fact, I didn't do any Art Blocks drops at all in 2023 after doing 5 kind of the previous year, and then also making penplotter art itself and the constant updating Instagram and social media, that also slowed down all out of necessity. And I also got really good at saying no to a whole bunch of stuff because I knew that I couldn't guarantee I had the time available to do it. And also I decided in 2023 that I'd practice saying no, and that was going to be a thing that I did, so totally nailed it on that front. Now, on the flip of all that, it meant that I had to redirect all my focus onto like tools and building systems, and I got to work on the frameworks for creating generative art and pen plots, and that's been really useful, that fundamentals there. I also updated my own backend for my website and various bits and bobs that made managing my art projects a lot easier. So I'm pretty geared up for being on top of projects, even though I don't have that many of them at the moment, but it'll be great when I do. Out of all of that, I started pulling it all together and developing Kitty, my AI PA, which handles a raft of other things for me, and that indirectly led me to doing the handwriting, pen plotting stuff, all of that type of code. And despite saying no to pretty much everything, I still had 2 curated exhibitions, one on Ferrophile and then the Falling Water project on Alba, where I also released my 81, 82, 83, 84 project, and both of those sold out in seconds, so still got it. So that was really great. So even without having a huge amount of time, I still managed to release some projects, put some systems in place, and of course the downside of all of the biting the backend systems is they aren't that interesting to film. I was expecting Weeknotes to be a bit more interesting about the stuff I was doing, but as the stuff I was doing is mainly code, that's that. But I mean, that's life. Anyway, wrapping all that up, what I really appreciated from the second quarter going forwards was the resilience to the unknown and the uncertainty that was kind of built into my plans by that point. And that gave me the flexibility to deal with stuff when it came up, and it did. It's kind of like when it was all calm, caring me from the past put systems into the place, so stressed me could rely on them and trust on them to get me through those times. So instead of winging it, I had plans A, B's, C's that I could switch between. So to break the rule of not looking forwards, which we'll do properly next week, and the things that have mainly come out of this year is the handwriting, pen plotting stuff, combining that with AI and then the semi-autonomous agent of Kitty. All of that seems pretty exciting, and it's niche enough that I think I finally found a thing that's mine to settle on, and that's like handwriting and art. So that's that to look forward to. The pen plotting tutorials, of course, finally going to happen. More digital NFT stuff. But overall, I'm feeling pretty positive about what was actually quite a hard year looking back, and I still think I'm falling into the trap of thinking of years rather than shorter 12-week chunks here, but anyway, that's that. So a very quick interlude before I talk about when I started the whole 12-week year thing. I wasn't sure if it was going to work. The theory was reasonable, and in practice it seemed to work. And I think if I'd started 2023 going, this year I want to get X, Y, and Z done, I would have ended up getting very frustrated by the end of it, because I suspect I wouldn't have got any of it done at all. What actually happened, again looking back, was in the first quarter it set off in a very positive and optimistic direction, and that actually went pretty well. I was also setting up Notion and my task manager and things like that in that. In the second quarter is where the shit started to hit the fan. So I built in more flexibility into my process at that point. So if everything is fine this week, I will do this. If it's not, then I'll do these other things instead. And the third quarter is where I really leaned into that flexibility and doubling down on like building systems that would help me. I couldn't build artwork or projects and new stuff, but I could build the systems that would help me, and that included Kitty. That started then. The fourth quarter, despite things being fairly messed up, I was actually really enjoying myself. I was tired a lot of time, you can see that in the video, but I wasn't really stressed by the work I'd set myself. The systems I built were doing a good job of protecting me from burnout from work and stress, and I had other stresses that kept me going on the stress front. That was fine. More importantly, or maybe more interestingly, the act of linking my admin tools and my management system, my art management system, and the Kitty AI and the pen plotting and the handwriting, all that code kind of joined together, and it feels that I've joined my art practice with my studio management practice. Before, I felt like I was either doing one or the other. Today, am I going to do art or am I going to do admin? And they were opposites and often fighting against each other. Now, though, they feel all aligned and complementary to each other. Managing the studio and interacting with Kitty and exploring art all seem to be interconnected now, because they use all the same system, and it wasn't that way before. Now, this is the important part for me. It's all of that, the reviewing all the stuff, going back over my old Weeknotes and Quarternotes, and like I've said in previous Weeknotes, I'm often surprised by what I've recorded in the Weeknotes when I go through all the footage. I mean, I can forget what I was doing a couple of days ago on Tuesday, so if you ask me, hey, what were you doing 6 months ago, I would have no clue. But now when I look at footage from even just the week and I start piecing them together, I throw a lot away and then I piece together the other ones. I'm viewing them in a slightly different context, and I can make connections between Monday stuff and Thursday stuff because I've taken that step back. So making videos like this, hello here on YouTube, or the Weeknotes, is kind of context shifting my day. I'm not trying to make art, I'm stepping into a different mode where I'm doing video editing, and I think looking at that in a different way is kind of useful. And also I think if I went, oh, I can get more art done if I ditch these Weeknotes videos, I think I would be in a far poorer place. I would lose so much if I did that. There's probably easier ways of doing reflective journaling, and I'd probably suggest doing those yourself over making weekly videos, as much as I love making these. And I'm doing that reflective journaling too with Kitty, but learning how to shoot and edit and script videos was always something that I wanted to learn anyway. and I was doing a whole bunch of courses, so I decided to stop watching the courses and stop learning about all the theory and just actually do it instead. And Weeknotes used to take up the whole of Friday. If you go back, you'll see me sort of complaining about that a bit. But now it just takes half a day, sometimes even less, to put it together. And I'm also trying to be a little less clever with them. I'm not sure that's good or bad, but I've learned all the things you're supposed to do with your cameras and your shots and widen out and story and all of that. But I tend now just to throw it all away and just get the job done. I've learned to enjoy talking to the camera and all of you lot a little bit more. I can now listen to my own voice, which is not many people can do that. And it used to feel pretty oppressive setting up all this stuff, the tripod, the camera, the lights and everything, and then start recording. But now it's pretty relaxed and pretty chilled. I quite like it. So that was a quick reflection on the year and a bit about making these videos. I'm so glad I made it all the way through the year. One a week sometimes got pretty tough going, but also so worth it. Also, obviously, thank you all so much for coming along with me on the journey. I know this isn't everyone's cup of tea, especially these talking head videos. The feedback I've got has been really useful, and I do totally appreciate it. And I think I'm just going to carry on making Weeknotes and other stuff as well. No reason to stop. Let's aim for 10 years now or something. Anyway, that was a quick overview. Probably too much. As always, I will see you in the next video. I love you all. Goodbye. Nailed it. Let's go edit this sucker. All right. Hey, check these out. Just done these on the penplotters. So these are like little illustration type of things here. They're all done. They're all done on the drawing machines. They're all exactly the same. But these are generated with AIs. This is AI art, but then hand drawn on a robot. People on Threads are going to be really annoyed. Anyway, I gotta go. Bye.